another one in it.
See what happens when you set up pages. Set up in the second. Get your room. Wait for the treasurer to sit down.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm recording.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to meeting number 245 of TMG, the MAC Group, celebrating our 25th year of operation. I was thinking about my presentation last month and how it was probably the worst presentation I've done in 25 years. And I wasn't quite sure whether it was the turning off the projector by mistake or that I didn't quite have all of the stuff out. So what I'd like to do is give you the executive summary of my presentation on Yosemite. Yosemite, Mac OS 10.10.1. Good thing. If you've got Mavericks, update to Yosemite. If you're running one of the older operating systems, Snow Leopard, Lion, Mountain Lion, and you don't have legacy software that you have to, that won't run in the latest one, then you should also update to Yosemite. It's really a very nicely tuned, much more efficient operating system than the others. So that was the summary. Okay, so let's get the there we go. And let me go back a couple slides. Okay, 25 years, friends helping friends. For sale and for one. I haven't updated the slide. Dan Wyckoff still has that Mac Pro. He's lowered his price down to $200. Okay, actually $250, best offer. Okay, I don't think he'll go below 200. So if somebody's interested in it, let Dan know. Dan, raise your hand. I don't see where. Yeah, Dan's over on the edge. Okay, orange sweater. Okay.
Processor.
You can run up to Snow Leopard on it, or you can put a Linux operating system.
It's dual Intel.
There's no screen with it, no display. It's just a Mac Pro. Mac Pro, heavy iron. Okay. So it's not a Xeon. It's a Xeon, early Xeon.
Is that it over there?
Yeah, in the box.
And it's a Xeon.
Hmm? It's a Xeon.
It's the box.
Okay.
Question.
Okay. Anybody else have something for sale or want? For sale or want? You don't want to show up? Is this? No, this is for me. Okay. So, because I'm beloved by the membership, somebody brought in a box of Mac OS 8. Sealed in carton, never opened, and it says in front, $30 rebate for Mac OS 7.6 owners, details inside. So let's see if they'll give me a $30 rebate. Does anybody else have?
But you can't open it.
What do you mean I can't hold it?
You don't want to open it.
Yeah, no accrued value.
It's factory sealed. That's what makes it value.
I'm not a collector of software. I think software should be used. It shouldn't sit on a shelf somewhere. It should be used. All right. Does anybody else have anything that they're looking for that they're getting ready to sell or they're getting ready to give away? Yes, Shona.
Giveaway. I have more of these cases than I had 2 months ago at the meeting over on the table in the green bag.
Okay. There are metal optical disc cases. You know, think about it. You've got maybe old movies that you don't like anymore. Put them in the new case, re-gift it. And you can tell them, you know, you bought that special case just for them. All right, anybody else for sale or for wanted? Nope, okay. The next one, so we'll go back to the original agenda. So we have the welcome, Draft agenda for the year. Mr. Kurtner, did we have any guests today? Do we have any new members?
Yes, we had one who was a guest last month.
Okay, and that is,
Oh, there you are. It's Dick Ratcliffe.
just stand up for a minute just so they can say welcome. Dick, your homework assignment is to figure out what you want to do with the equipment that you can't quite figure out how to do now. And then let us know about it, okay? Okay, I assume you're doing okay with your equipment at this point?
Yeah, I'm just a beginner. I'm really kind of a beginner. I'm not.
This is a room of beginners. It is. Richard Gray, this is a room of beginners. It's just we're beginning with different stuff. Okay? Some stuff is, we know how to do. Okay. Okay, so welcome. Again, standard warning, people will come up and say hi at the break. You didn't get a name badge yet. Okay. If they try borrow money, just...
Tell them see Bill.
Okay, draft agenda for the year. All right, just so you know where we've already been, we did the graphic converter demonstration, we did iOS, we did Yosemite, that one really stunk. Today we're doing an overview of iCloud. iCloud overview, no real heavy details. Depending on what sort of questions I get in the overview, we may do a second one in January on iCloud on how you set up stuff and how you troubleshoot. Okay. And then January, I don't have anything scheduled for it, but if you've got ideas, you know, talk to me either at the beginning of the meeting or at break or, yes, Richard?
Just a comment that maybe you send that out along with the meeting notes,
Okay.
so that people have that in your meeting.
You okay if I send you one more thing to send out to them? Okay. Good suggestion. We'll do it. Again, if you have ideas, you got questions, something you'd like to see, you know, I'm always open to meeting your needs. Yes, Mr.
Did you
Ratchford?
do the thing about being able, old scanners and the,
That would be the view scan demonstration.
okay. Because I've got a couple scanners.
Okay. Okay, we could do that maybe in February. The thing is, I don't want to commit to do anything about Apple Watch yet because they're not even in production yet. And typically I like, when it's a new product, let Apple get it out there for a while and see if it resonates with the customers and if they actually buy it. You're laughing, but it's true. How many of you remember the iPod boombox? The big boombox that Apple did, see? Yeah. It
Yep.
went. Boomboxes were dead and they didn't know. Well, okay, so maybe I'll move ViewScan up, because everybody, we all have old scanners that we want to be able to use again, so we don't have to buy new ones. So, with that said,
Bill,
yeah,
when you do the scanner, excuse me, talk a bit about taking old photos from slides and making them, digitizing them. What's the best way to do that?
sure. Because the only way people know that a scanner actually works is if we actually use it to do stuff. So it's good, it keeps us real, and, you know, so it's not scripted like reality TV. You do know reality TV is not
Reality.
real. It's scripted, and they do 3 or 4 takes, and stuff, yeah, okay, just, you know.
It's not reality.
Okay, news items. Newer version of Yosemite is out, Mac OS 10.10.1. That's a good update. Yes,
I have an older machine, will that still work on,
what are you running on the older
Maverick right
machine?
now?
Mavericks, yes, if you can run Mavericks on it, it can run Yosemite. And I highly recommend Yosemite over Mavericks.
So there was a couple negative things in the, on the internet about Yosemite. One guy
there's always a couple negative things about everything.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you know, pick the great person. They come back to Earth and they do something. There'll always be one of our relatives that's going to say, well, yeah, but. Okay. Yes, Mr. Gray.
I think I heard that principle stated best as, in every new release, they add a little disappointment.
Okay, but the thing is, when I look at these things, remember, I'm not just seeing what happens with the operating system on my computer. I'm seeing what's happening on my customers' computers. And I'm seeing problems go away when I take them to Yosemite. So, to me, that says, oh, good thing, better than what they had. The other one I want to remind you about, and I'll get to you in a second, is that iOS, your operating system for your mobile devices, your tablets, your phones and that, there's a new version of that that's out, iOS 8.1.2. And again, I've talked to a couple people that have smartphones and such. iOS 8.1.2.
It works fine. I downloaded it, had no problems.
I've got a thumbs up in the back of the room. It was supposed to relieve some problems with Wi-Fi connectivity. And it was also supposed to solve a problem where ringtones that people had purchased from the Apple iTunes store had disappeared on their device.
When did point two come
This
up?
4
This
days
week,
ago, 3
yeah.
days ago, something like that.
Usually don't miss it.
3?
Yeah.
Bi-weekly. I took Flash off of my computers. I just got tired of it. You know, you reach a certain point in your life where you realize you're not going to live forever. And so you start to treasure the time you have. And I said, do I really want to spend God knows how many hours every month updating Flash? And I decided no. So what I do is I use the Google Chrome browser for those websites that have Flash on, that need Flash, because it's got Flash built into it. And they update it, and I don't have to do it. So anyway. Another little item out there, the MacMedic application that we've talked about the last 2 meetings. They have a newer version out of that, and it spots even more of this bad stuff that you can put on your machine, so it's a good thing to remember that one. And let's see.
Hey, Bill,
Yeah.
is that supposed to be a real fast checker? Because it doesn't seem to take long at all.
Yeah, it's looking specifically, it's looking for specific things. It's not checking the whole machine. It's not doing like a virus scan where it has to check every single file and all the subcomponents of the file. You know, one of the things to be aware of when you're using Mac operating systems, you see a program on your desk, in your applications folder. That's really just a special folder. When you open it up and you can tell it to show the contents of it, each of those applications may have 500, 600, in case of something like Photoshop, a couple thousand little building blocks of code that are in there. When you're doing a virus scan, it's checking those interior, those bundles to see if something else got put in there. That's why it takes so long. Because have you ever done a count of how many files are on your Mac? Yeah, I think the least I've ever seen is somewhere on the order of 350,000 things that are on your Mac. And that's with, you know, not much on it at all. All right, you had a comment, Mr. Baldwin, about use?
You use Firefox. There's been a spate of updates for Firefox. And Firefox has also changed its default search engine to Yahoo.
Which is big.
But you can turn it back.
You can, yeah, you can change it back. Okay. But if you just update and don't notice, you will be searching on Yahoo.
Right.
Okay.
And it's not obvious.
Okay, be aware that different browsers and the people who make those browsers have different deals with search engine providers. The Apple deal with Google, and I'm not sure if Apple pays Google or Google pays Apple for them to have Google as their default search engine in Safari. That runs out in 2015. It'll be interesting to see whether some other small startup company like zapping parameter RAM, that takes it back to its factory settings.
Well, the last group I was in recommended it once a month.
No, I could see it maybe on a server. You know, you've got a legacy server running Apple Share IP 5 something, and this thing should have been taken out of service like 10 years ago. I can maybe see with that.
Okay, I just don't have an eye on
How old is your machine?
that.
2009?
2007?
2007? No, you should be fine inside. Now, if you want to do maintenance on your machine, this one is gonna throw you a little bit. One of the easiest ways to do maintenance on a Mac running Mac OS X, pick the version, is start up the machine while holding down your Shift key. Okay, it'll come up in a diagnostic mode, okay, in safe boot, and then just restart it when you're finished. And it does all sorts of wonderful stuff. It runs your scripts, your daily, your weekly, your monthly script. It rebuilds the symbolic links. It changes the launch key loader points. It does some of the stuff with that. All this Unix stuff that we don't normally talk about in a Mac group because, you know, Unix, it's not for normal people.
You're already over my head.
Okay. But it just, you start up, you hit the on button, hold down the Shift key, let it do its boot, and then log in, and then tell it to restart. You just did a whole bunch of really nice maintenance on your machine.
And when you're doing it, don't get panicky because the boot will take longer.
The second one,
yeah.
it comes up the second time.
Yeah, it will take longer. So if it sits there for a while, don't get all twitchy and nervous because it's normal.
Because what it's doing is rebuilding all of this stuff fresh. Okay. What kind of stuff do you do on your machine?
Email.
Okay, so it's pretty much like, well, you're not running a website off of it, you're not, you know, a graphic designer that's pounding it, you're not doing video editing. Okay, all right, that sort of stuff, once, twice a year. You know, one of the things that I learned from my father is that if you maintain something too much, you're going to break it. Okay. So you want to have that balance in there. Okay. Okay. Mr. Wharton, you had a news item?
No, I just have a question. I forget now. What does holding down the C key do?
Holding down the C key tells the computer it should look for an optical disc that it should boot from. So you have either a DVD or a CD in there, and you want it to run the computer from an operating system on that disk. Okay. Another way to do it is you hold down your Option key when you start the computer. It'll show you all of the things that are attached to the computer that have an operating system on them. Okay. So that if you have an external hard drive with a carbon copy cloner, copy of the thing, you can tell it run from this hard drive instead of this hard drive. Okay. Any other news items? Yes, Mr. Ratchford.
Question. That start shift key thing, my computer's getting real sluggish about starting up in a lot of different things. Does that help you with some of that?
Yes. There's other things you can also do, and what I would say is, if you talk to Mr. George's, you know, we've got the troubleshooting one that we did a couple years ago, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. Okay, but that simple trick of holding down the shift key when you start, it does some nice stuff, cleans out old logs.
Excellent, thank you.
Not fire burning logs. When I talk about logs, Unix, the operating system that's running on your Mac, keeps a record of all the stuff that it's doing. So there's probably somewhere on the order of 1,200 to 1,400 different processes running on your Mac. Each one has a log. Well, when it fills up its log space, because it's only allowed to have the logs be so big, then it renames it and puts it off to the side and starts another one. And they're just sitting there. So that if for troubleshooting purposes, somebody could come in and see, what's been occurring. Well, we're not running a university mainframe that has to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're running personal computers. So that logging is sort of a little excessive. Well, when you hold down that shift key and you tell it to, restart, it's cleaning out the old logs. It's throwing them away. It's sort of like taking all of the, you got a notepad next to the telephone and you make the little notes. And then at the end of the week, you look at the notes and I have no clue what this is about. So you just crumple it up and throw it in the trash. Because otherwise, if you keep them piling up, then you can't find the note that you just wrote. Because you got all these other things in the way. All right, Larry.
Question about, is anybody aware, I use TurboTax. I have a small farm and I don't use it much for that, but I use it for some of those type of records. And I noticed that this year's TurboTax Deluxe, if you got anything that has to do with buying and selling stocks, or if you will say, in my case, I have an LLC, so I have an input to basically a K-forms. The Deluxe will not handle that this year the normal way.
Okay.
You have to, if you have any of those two actions, you have to send in manual forms as opposed to e-file. And so I just thought, how I found out I was going to download this year's TurboTax.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll read some of the comments. And so I went in and on Amazon, and I mean, there's a raft of these comments about all the things that this year's version, what they're trying to do is push you up to what they call Premier, which is the next level, I think. But I just thought I'd warn you so you don't get tricked, because what happens is if you've ever used I don't know, maybe people don't use it, but it'll give you a little pop-up if it says, well, you got stocks you bought and sold, you maybe need Premier this year, send us $30 more. So just warning that now the forms are still there, which means I suppose you could manually put them in the forms, but I didn't like the idea that I was going to have to not e-file.
Yeah. Okay. One of the problems that I've always had with the tax programs is they don't just have a tax program for you to do your taxes. They come in, 20 different flavors, and I always choose wrong. So I don't buy the tax software anymore. I let my wife do it.
Oh.
She knows, because she's the one running the numbers anyway.
I was going to ask, has anybody ever used TaxCut, which is an alternative tax type software?
We have, it seems pretty reasonable.
Because I think it's it would be like $40 difference, and I thought, well, if it works,
Yeah, I don't know whether, we go to a small business level.
Well, but see, the inputs for the small business are one form. I just have somebody else is doing the whole LLC operation for me.
I see. So this is.
Like it's just a K form that I got.
You're saying H&R Block tax cut.
Yeah, it's maybe it isn't called tax cut anymore, but it's the H&R Block.
I have run the H&R Block for about 7 years now, and I got tired of the other one. And it handles my farm just fine.
Thank you.
Now, I haven't checked this year.
No. But like I say, all I'm doing is I make inputs related to the K form, and that's it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We officially moved into help desk.
Oh, sorry.
No. We don't do sorry.
In that case.
I haven't given you the be selfish, but this organization is here to help you get to where you want to be. Okay? That's the whole purpose of it, so you don't have to say sorry.
Well, I did start with news when I told you about the Quicken tax.
You did fine, you did fine. I'm gonna go to Bill Howe, and then I'm gonna go to you, and then we'll go to you. Yes?
Back to news, got an email from Sam's Club about a half an hour ago. Says they're selling iPhones starting at 120, iPhone 6 starting at 127
Okay.
with a 2-year contract and all that kind of stuff.
You get a spiff on that?
Huh?
You get a spiff from Sam's?
No, I just thought people might, they're looking for a new 6.
Okay, I got a question. Anybody out here have a Costco membership? Okay. What plastic do they take, and what plastic do they not?
American Express.
Their own.
Okay,
It's their
does
own.
it have to be the Costco American Express, or can it just be American Express?
No, I think it's their own.
Yeah, because when you sign up for that, and then they put your picture on the back of the American Express card.
Cool.
They'll also take debit card.
Yeah, they take debit
Card,
card.
Visa, debit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a caveat to that.
Oh,
okay. You get the normal, it costs you $55.
Yeah.
You want the American Express, the super duper thing,
Yeah.
it's 145 or 150.
110.
110? Okay, well, it's,
Money back if you don't use it.
why not use a debit card,
See,
cash?
I don't
or
get to
whatever?
go to Sam's with my wife, because she just goes and she's got the card and she doesn't tell me. Costco, if they don't have the plastic that she has, that means she's gotta take me with, because I always have cash.
Also, if you're military, retired military, they'll give you a $10 card to use in the store. So we basically around 55 to 45 is what it's costing you.
Okay.
I haven't put it back.
Right.
Well,
So,
you've got-
I did Bill, and then I was gonna go to Janet. Yes, Janet?
Okay, 2 quick questions. One was, should you turn the machine off at night or not? And my second one, and then you can choose to work with, when I look at the Apple website, and it comes up and it says, watch this video, HTML, and I try to watch it, it loads and it stops, it loads, it won't just run smoothly. And I've got a good Mac machine with Yosemite operating system and everything. So I wondered why the video won't run.
Okay. All right, so the first question is, when you're finished with your device, I'm gonna make it more generic, should you turn it off or just let it go to sleep? All right. This is sort of like, does the toilet paper go this way or this way? This is my response. This is my personal opinion. It may not be worth it. Is I turn the computer off, I turn the device off if I'm not going to use it the rest of the day. And the reason why I do that is sometimes DP&L does not meet or exceed my expectations. And I'll have one of these little boom transients, and everything goes out for a little bit, and that can cause problems with the computer.
Why not get a monster surge protector?
I have surge protectors and uninterruptible power supplies on the important equipment. But on the other ones, you know, it's just the generic computer in the family room. I don't have that on there. Okay. All right. And then the other question was,
I cannot get the videos, like the videos on the Apple website. It's
Okay.
rather see this. And then it says HTML in the little
Okay.
square box. And they
What
just- they
I
run,
would
but the
ask you
stuff
to
goes,
do
stuff
is
goes. Yeah.
talk to the person who's determined how you do internet at home, and find out what level of service you have.
3 gig,
3 gig.
3 megs,
3 meg, okay.
whatever the right
Okay,
zone is.
so it's a 3 megabit.
How's it work
Yeah,
here?
but other videos on YouTube and on other things, like things, HTML things on Apple's website, and
Okay.
uploaded with.
Now, this is on your
My Mac
iPad?
Mini, no, on my big machine, my Mac Mini machine. And it has Yosemite running, and it's been doing this forever, it's just, and it happens with some newspapers and the Apple website, and then others just run Zoom right along. And it's really.
It's in the video.
Sometimes it has to do not so much with your equipment, but what's going on with the person who's vending the file to you.
I don't think that's because it's been going on for a long time, it's not just that. Sometimes like Huffington Post or.
What I would do is, again, I would talk to the person sitting next And just ask him to check to see that your Mac Mini is connecting appropriately.
Okay, sometimes their network can be slowing down depending on how much use they're doing. Certain times of the day.
Or it's not your usage, but somebody else who's logged onto your network.
Right.
If this
They're
happens
slowing
every
down.
time I'm on the Apple.
I'm on,
That would be
no,
it.
I'm on.
What, do you know what operating system you're running?
Yeah.
Oh, it should be moving right along.
Yeah, we've got the top side.
Okay.
Okay, it's just.
You said that if you upgrade to Yosemite, some legacy software might not transfer from older.
For example, let's say you're running Snow Leopard. You're running Snow Leopard, Mac OS 10.6. On Snow Leopard, you can still do PowerPC applications that still run on it. If you go to Lion or Mountain Lion, those same programs don't run under Mac OS 10.7 or 10.8 because Apple didn't put Rosetta into that operating system. So, what operating system do you have on your computer?
So you put
Lion.
update.
And what I was concerned with was Microsoft Office.
Which version of Office are you running?
I want to say
2007?
7, I think.
Or 2008 or 2011?
Yeah, one.
2008 works okay with Yosemite, 2011 works better. Because 2008 will work on Mac OS 10.7, Mac OS 10.8, it'll work under Mavericks, it should work under Yosemite. Okay?
It'll update them too.
Yes.
Along this current line you're talking about, is it hard? Can you charge your device too much? When I get down to 70%, I just.
If we're talking about a modern device, something that's been made since the turn of the century, they have electronics built into it, so you can't you can't screw up, basically.
Okay.
So if you're talking about a smartphone, you're talking about a tablet, you're talking about anything except for some digital cameras, no, you can't overcharge them. They will see when they're full enough and they stop charging at that point.
But the question is it, would we be better off waiting till it gets down to 40% charging, or it doesn't matter at all?
Okay, the way I parse it out is this. I say to myself, okay, what time of the day is it? If it's first thing in the morning and the iPad's down to 40%, and I know I'm going to be doing FaceTime with my mom later on in the afternoon, well, video, it takes up a little bit more. I'll say, let's go ahead and just plug it in and charge it up. If it's the end of the day, and I know that I don't have anything scheduled first thing in the morning, I'll just, turn it off, just set it off to the side. I won't bother charging it. Okay, you see the sort of the valuation that I've got going on there, the thought process? Yes,
For
Rick?
battery health though, don't they recommend, hasn't it been recommended in the past though that you let the battery drain to 0 every once in a while so that it shuts down and restarts when you plug it in?
That's true with Mac laptops prior to 2007, 2008, they're around in there. The mobile devices, no. The mobile devices, yeah.
The lithium.
Is it okay just to plug it in every time I get home? I just plug it in when I get home so it's always charged?
Sure. Yeah.
That doesn't get you really
No, it's a sensible thing to do. Yes, Richard.
I kind of do that because mine hibernates as opposed to turning off most of the time. If it's hibernating, it's using batteries, so it's accumulating battery discharge cycles. So I always float it, probably waste my computer.
Okay.
Bought a new micro tablet.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I download my okay? I get something that would be an APC, then I can burn it a disk and it's and work for the ACI, whatever, but then it would work on any CD player, correct?
Okay. So we're talking music or an audio book, right? We're not talking video. Okay. So you bought something on the iTunes store, and now you have a copy on your device, your computer, and it's at 256K, and it's an AAC format file. Okay.
That's Apple.
Okay. When you burn it onto a CD, okay, it's going to make, there's two different ways you can do it. You can either create a standard commercial CD where it changes it to the high fidelity format that you have on CDs, where you can only get like 40 minutes, 60 minutes of music on the CD, or you can do an MP3.
No, I don't want MPEG, I want.
Okay. Yeah, and then you can put it in. The key is you create a playlist in iTunes, drag in the songs you want, and you burn from a playlist. You can't just burn the music.
Oh, I know that.
Okay, well, other people don't know.
And then it'll work on any CD player.
Assuming that the CD player is working the way it's supposed to work. Okay?
I know I'm getting a Pro, 13-inch Mac Pro for Christmas. And it's coming from Micro.
North Pole.
What?
North Pole. It's coming from
The Micro whatever.
Micro Center down
Micro
in
Center.
Yeah,
Marcel
and what it is last year's closeout, and the difference when the salesman talked to my wife was basically, the difference was that the new one's about, processing is a little bit faster, but overall he said, this is a really good deal, we're discounting a little bit for that. And then they offered her this warranty, or what I call a plan, you know? Kind of like, looks like Apple Care.
But
And she, huh?
But it isn't.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Has anybody had experience with, like, this is, I think they had a 1, 2, or 3 year one where, and basically rather than maybe taking it to the Apple store, I could take it down there and they'd fix it. Would they do that? No, I need somebody who's had experience with it.
How much is this plan?
I wanna say for 3 years with $250, I can't remember what it was.
Why Apple?
No, okay, I'm just
No, I used that one time I got a.
I'm just asking, you know?
Way back when I was in PC where I had a PC laptop, which I
Broke the glass on,
and they put a new thing on the front of it and fixed it up and no charge because I had bought that.
But I think Apple Care will do that too, but I may be wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, well, mine wasn't an Apple, but I mean, their stuff was good.
At the break,
Let me talk to
do you
somebody.
remember your Apple Care stuff from when you, I'm looking at Don Baldwin, do you remember your Apple Care stuff from when you worked at MacTown?
What do you want to know?
Well, I'm just thinking you can explain to them how, you know.
Because I even brought the advertisement they gave to her, okay? But it doesn't really tell you much. On purpose, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know this outfit, but for $250, I mean, you're right up there close to the price of Apple.
That's what I thought, yeah,
You know,
okay.
I mean, you know, I know.
The only benefit I could see was that I wouldn't have to send it back to Apple, I could take it down to Sharonville.
You can take it to the Apple store out of the green.
Yeah.
You know.
But Apple will only maintain a piece of hardware for 5 years.
Okay.
It's a question of age. If it's less than 5 years,
Okay.
Apple Care is a better answer, but if you're 5 years and on, you're gonna need third-party support.
But if you have Apple Care and you take that device to a value-added reseller, which
Those guys are.
Micro Center is.
Yeah.
Okay. They have to
They'll honor that?
the Apple Care.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Apple Care also gets you, calls to the.
Right. Right.
Which this third party thing.
Right, I agree with that.
So.
Okay, that helped, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I buy my Apple
And
Care
somebody,
because
as I heard, just heard a voice point out,
$1.84.
if you're out of town.
And instead of, except for $250, it's $174.
Mr. Ward.
Just a question on, I'm getting a new iPhone 6.
Let me make a note.
I'm getting a new iPhone 6, what's the best way to ensure that?
Thank you.
That's for 13 inches. Yeah.
Don't give it to a teenager.
I mean, Apple Care will take care of it in the event that you break something on it, but
in the event that you should lose it.
Oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah, is there a best way to?
on your insurance, homeowners.
I don't know if this still applies. If you've got an American Express card, you know, voice an opinion. Typically, my wife will buy certain things such as electronics that can disappear very easily, like an iPhone, with an American Express card, and there's some sort of insurance, theft insurance that comes with it if you use the American Express card to purchase the item. Yes, Bill?
I have a question, somewhat related, because it's the same as an iPhone, it's my iPod Touch, but I keep it with me all the time. I want a holster where I can be secure, it's not going to come off my belt and fall away and, you know, break. Like this week, I had a fairly decent holster, but it actually fell off my belt, and I saw it in my chair before I left. And I'm looking for a really good holster that has a loop I can put on my belt and it won't come off.
Okay, I'm seeing people pull their holsters out,
This is
so
out of
what I'm gonna
box.
suggest
This
is,
clips, so it hooks onto your belt and it lift off. It's got a hook down at the bottom.
Yeah, I want something to do more.
But you have to have the case to go with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna suggest that at the break,
Let me know what you got. I mean,
at the break, get with him,
Yeah, thanks.
you can compare belts.
Thank you.
Cheap insurance, $25 to $50 for it.
I've seen people switch.
Good.
Save you 75 bucks.
Yeah.
It's the same
I'm gonna
thing.
say it's
Matter of
time
fact,
to
they
wrap.
had a plan.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna be doing an overview of iCloud services. I printed out my presentation with my notes. I promise not to try and use the laser pointer where I turn off the projector by mistake. I also promise to try to project a little bit better from the front of the room. So, when I started to put together this presentation, I kept thinking, well, we've already done iCloud. I know we've done iCloud. I'm sure we've done iCloud. And I went through all of the previous presentations, and we hadn't done iCloud. iCloud is one of these things where the complexity sort of sneaks up on you. You go, oh, iCloud, wow, real simple, it just works. And then when you start to actually look at it, and all the various things that are involved with it, you begin to understand that it's really much more complex. So, for today, we're just going to do an overview of what's there. Okay, I'm going to sit and I'm going to project. So, reading my notes, it says, good morning, let's get started. Take your seats. Our topic this month is iCloud. Okay, now these are all Apple slides. So they're very generic and bland slides, and you're not going to see a lot of text on them. The PDF that we'll send out to you has the notes with it. So you're going to get a portable document format file, and underneath the slide are the same notes that I'm reading. I'll be adding some other value-added contents, though. So with iCloud, you can access your music, photos, documents, and more from any of your devices. It's easy to set up and use, and with features that give you peace of mind and make sharing simple. iCloud is also great with just one Apple device. And this presentation provides a quick overview of the key features of iCloud and the benefits you get from using iCloud on your iOS devices, Mac, or PC. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you've got a Microsoft PC and you're running Windows XP, Windows 7, excuse me, let me restate that. Windows 7 or Windows 8, you can use iCloud services. Okay. All right, now this slide, this is a screenshot of a very, very useful Apple web page. And it's www.apple.com/support/system status, all one word. These are the current 44 Apple custom services vended through the internet. All right. Way back in the day, there was this thing from Apple called Mobile Me. There were 4 services vended through Mobile Me. These are all the ones that are being vended now. The reason why this is a lovely website to have when you're troubleshooting stuff is iCloud is internet-based. It's not just your computer. It's not just your mobile device. It's got to be working with something that Apple is running on the internet. Well, what if that particular service is down for some reason? So, when you go to this website, you're going to see red, yellow, and green dots. So these are the services. App Store, okay. Apple ID, Apple Online Store. Notice the 2 are different. Apple Pay, Apple TV, Back to My Mac, Beats Music, their new thing that they bought for a couple $2 billion, Beats Music. Dictation. So when you're doing dictation services on your Mac or on your iPad, iPhone, it's got to be able to talk to that server, that Apple server, to be able to do dictation. Documents in the cloud, FaceTime, Find My Friends, Find My Phone, Game Center, iBook Store, iChat, iCloud account and sign-in, iCloud backup, iCloud bookmarks, iCloud calendar, iCloud contacts, iCloud drive, iCloud keychain, iCloud mail, iCloud notes, iCloud reminders, iCloud storage upgrades, iCloud web apps, iMessage, iMovie Theater, iOS device activation, iPhone calls to the Mac and the iPad, iTunes in the cloud, iTunes Match, iTunes Radio, iTunes Store, iWork for Cloud Beta, Mac App Store, MailDrop, Maps, Photo Print Products, Photos, Siri, SMS text forwarding, and Spotlight suggestions. Yes, John?
I've noticed that when troubleshooting, I get instructions to back up my computer using iCloud. Where's the backup on that list?
That was back up here a little bit where it's talking about storage. That's part of the storage.
So if I have a group of files on a desktop or something and I can't use one computer, I go on another one and get.
That's iCloud Drive. That's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. So again, and this is good. What I'm going to be doing is basically farming the questions that I get today, handle them as best as I can, and then use that for grist in the mill, because I think I'm going to do another presentation to go into a little more detail on this stuff.
Because that would be the most valuable thing
Yeah.
when you're traveling and that sort of thing.
Okay. But the reason why I wanted to do the overview is because when people ask me questions about this, I have to be very careful about how I respond, because it is incredibly rich and complicated. And I also know that there's no one person at Apple that's in charge of all this stuff. These are almost all separate groups. There's no one person that's overseeing all of these iCloud services. And I believe the upper management at Apple has finally realized, oh, crap, that's a problem. Okay, so we started out this presentation where we were talking about iCloud. Now you're going like, wait a minute, there's 44 different things up there. Holy moly, and some of them I've never heard of before. Okay, like iTunes Match. Most people have never heard of iTunes Match. Okay, so now I'm going to sit down again, because I can project better if I'm sitting down. So let's talk about iCloud. So iCloud stores your content and wirelessly pushes it to all your devices. Okay, so the first thing you need to think about at this point is it's not talking directly, it's not connecting directly your computer with your iPhone or your iPhone with your iPad. There's a server on the internet, a mainframe, if you will, that your devices have to talk to. So it's sort of like that game we used to play during recess, where I tell someone something, and then they tell somebody else, and then they tell somebody else. All right. Sometimes the communication flow, when you get to the end of the chain, is not what you expected. Okay. So let me just continue on here. Or if you start creating a document on your Mac, they can continue working on it on your iPad. So in other words, you've got this new thing, it's called handoff. You start working on something on your Mac. Later on, you're at the you're at Elder Beerman waiting for the ladies to finish shopping. And they told you, stay right there, don't move. And you go, hey, I've got my iPhone or my iPad, I'll pick up that email, I'll pick up that document I was working on, I can do a little bit of editing on it, and that way I'm making good use of time. That's an iCloud service. PC users can also use iCloud. They don't need multiple Apple devices to experience the benefits. If you own an iOS device, you can use iCloud for backup storage and or productivity. So in other words, you got an Apple smartphone, you don't own a Mac, you own a PC. Your phone can talk to that PC if you put the iCloud control panel on it and you log it into your account, your Apple ID. Okay, so now we're looking at content everywhere. With iCloud, anything you purchase on the iTunes Store, the App Store, the iBook Store is accessible on all your devices immediately. In other words, Apple keeps track of what you bought from those stores. And by the way, the people in charge of the App Store, the iBooks, the iTunes, those are all different groups also. Okay? Yeah, and Apple management's going like, oh crap, we need to get some sort of central overview of this stuff. Okay, well the reason why you can bring that song in that you purchased and put it on your iPhone is because they kept a record that you bought it. And you've got your own little account up there, so they know what you're allowed to pull from up there. Okay? Same thing with audiobooks, same thing with movies, same thing with podcasts, all of that stuff. So you can start reading a book on one device and pick up where you left off on another device. So it's not just the purchase, they're also keeping track of how far you got into it. That's a slightly different service. Okay. And you have the flexibility to access your content whenever and wherever you want with any device. And if you own an Apple TV, you can view your photos, music, and more. Next one, iCloud photo sharing. So now we're starting to get into the actual services that they consider to be part of iCloud. You can use iCloud photo sharing to easily share photos and videos with the people you choose and invite friends and family to add your own photos, videos, and comments. Real world example. My daughter just bought a house out in North Dakota. I'm not driving out there to look at the new house. What did she do? She took a whole bunch of pictures of the house inside and out with her iPad mini, and her husband took a bunch of pictures with his iPhone. They then shared them via iCloud to me. I can look at the pictures, I can't modify them. They've got it where they're locked down. And if they put new photos in that share, I see the new photos, and if they take photos out, they disappear. I don't get to see them again.
So you can't download?
The way they've got it set, no. Because they know I'm a pack rat, and okay, I have clutter issues. Okay. And then with the new activity view in iOS 8, you can save time by seeing photo updates at a glance in real time. Okay. Another iCloud service, Find My iPhone. All right. They need to rename this because you can use Find My iPhone to find your iPad, your Mac, your various Apple devices. So Find My device helps you keep track of your devices. If a customer loses a device, it's almost impossible for someone else to use it because they need the Apple ID and password to reset it. And you can log into iCloud.com to locate your device on a map, play a sound, put a device in lost mode to display a custom message, or to erase it remotely. And then what I did was, my wife is down in Louisville, so I was like, okay, you know, got to keep myself busy last night. So I went to Find My iPhone last night, and it's telling me these are my devices. So the MacBook Pro was offline, so it didn't know where it was, and the OS X 10.10, it's my beta box, was offline. But my iPad and the Mac Mini were both on, and boom, boom, it's showing me on a map where they're located.
You live on opposite streets?
Yeah,
two residents.
No, it's using a different method to locate the two devices. Okay. But the thing is, this is a very, very nice service to have turned on. Let's say you don't know where you put your smartphone. Did you
Where
leave
your
it
kid
at
is.
somebody else's house?
Don't know where your kid is.
Okay. You can use Find My device to locate it. You can also lock it remotely, and you can put it where it's got an advisory message on it. So there's that iPhone. I mean, it's just not an expensive device. You put it in lock mode. You got a thing that says, please, if you find this, please call so-and-so or return to. Okay, so that they then know who that phone belongs to. And Ron Decker isn't here today, otherwise I'd have him tell the story about how a lady found her iPhone. They found it in the street and a car had run over it. They brought it back to his house and they were going to call Apple, etc. Meanwhile, the Beaver Creek cop comes up with the lady because they used Find My iPhone to locate where it was. And they said, do you have so-and-so's iPhone? Absolutely. And they returned. Another service. I work in iCloud. iWork. This is the marketing term they use for 3 programs from Apple. Numbers, which is like Excel, so it's for spreadsheets. Keynote, which is like PowerPoint, so it's for presentations. And Pages, which is like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Publisher. Okay, now, this is an example of what we call software through the cloud. All right? So with iWork for iCloud Beta, that's tough to say. You can create beautiful and engaging presentations, documents, and spreadsheets with ease, and share them on all your devices. You can create projects by logging into iCloud.com and using the iWork apps. The iWork apps, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote are now available to download free on new devices with iOS 8 and OS X Yosemite. With sharing and collaboration, you can share document links and edit your content in real time, so it's easier to work with others and they don't have to waste time keeping track of different versions. So what that means is you can have a document you're working on and somebody else is working on it too. So in other words, it's shared between 2 people. So you can be doing one chapter, they can be working on the other chapter. Somebody can be proofreading part of it while you're creating new content. And you don't have to have the device, the application on your device. If you use a web browser and you log into iCloud, you can use that app on the web. Very much like Google Docs. More on it later. Apps in the iCloud. iCloud is seamlessly integrated into many of the applications, the apps that you use every day, and works behind the scenes to keep apps up to date on all your devices. So you can start a song in GarageBand on iPhone and then finish it on iPad. iCloud works with many third-party apps too. So if you start a journal entry or a chess game on one device, you can pick it up where you left off on another device. So you're over at Caribou Coffee, you got your iPad mini, you're playing Scrabble. Okay, later on, you're back at the house with the grandkids. You don't have the iPad mini, but you got your iPhone, you can continue the game.
But they all got the Apple devices.
All right, another service. Now this is using a web browser, Safari. With iCloud in Safari, you only have to save bookmarks and articles in the reading list once. So you're on your iPad, you're in Safari. You see a website and you want to read it later on, so you add it to reading list. Later on in the day, when you fire up your Mac or your iPhone and bring up Safari, and you go to reading list, that website is there waiting for you to look at.
Offline.
Offline. Okay, if it's big, then you got to be online. But if it's just a little bit, offline. Okay, another one, iCloud Keychain. All right, there is a program on your Mac, and it's called Keychain. And it keeps, if you want it to, passwords and login information and security certificates and other stuff. With iCloud Keychain, you can have your login for a particular website and Keychain, iCloud Keychain, so that when you go to that same website from your iPad or your iPhone, it goes, oh, your login is this and your password is this, without you having to put it in. And if you change it on one of those devices, it's going to update what it is on those other devices. Let me put it another way. You log into Yahoo Mail. You're using Safari to talk to Yahoo. You change your password for Yahoo Mail. You're on your Mac. Later on in the day, you're on your iPhone, you want to check Yahoo Mail, and it's already knows the new password and logs you in. Okay, moving right along. Now, more traditional cloud services, mail, calendar, contacts, and reminders. When you think about it, email was really the first of what we call cloud services. Especially when we started to have, abundance, we had more than one computer. Originally, I can remember there was one computer in the house and everybody used it. Now it's like, okay, how many computers do we have at the dining room table today? That's it. Oh, you got your phone, you got your iPad, Well, when you look at your email, where is the email? It's on that email server. It's a cloud service. Same thing with calendars, contacts, or what we used to call address book, and reminders. If you turn on iCloud, when I go into reminders and then they say, oh, I got that one done, later on in the day when I'm looking at my smartphone or I'm looking at my PC or I'm looking at my iPad and I bring up the appropriate reminders app, it's going to say, oh, yeah, no, that one you did. Because in my iCloud storage box, it's got a copy. It updated it.
Is my calendar not updating because I don't have the iCloud turned on?
Or it's confused and it's not doing what it should do. Okay, and there's a whole, we could do a 4-hour troubleshooting thing on that. Okay, but there's some quick and easy things to do also. All right, so you have busy schedules and you are constantly checking email, updating calendar events, and adding contacts, making notes.
Bill?
Yeah.
I thought the iCloud was automatically turned on when you log on to your computer.
Depends on how you have it set up. And which iCloud account, which Apple ID are you logged into? Okay. And this is why Apple has added this thing called family accounts, where you can associate multiple accounts with it. Okay, anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail today. So with iCloud, you can do this all on one device, and the iCloud sends the information to all your other devices automatically. This term for this, the technical term, is ubiquitous data. Okay, your data goes wherever you go. A grocery list on your Mac. You're now at Kroger, and you went, oh crap, I printed it out and it's sitting on the kitchen counter. Oh, wait, I have my smartphone. Oh, yeah, there's my grocery list. Okay, and then you go walking up and down the halls, getting the things that are on your list, probably talking to someone at the same time. Have you noticed that? Nobody shops anymore. They shop and talk on their phone. All right, another iCloud service, which is called Backup. All right, now this slide has a whole bunch of type on it, and I'm not going to read all of it, but many people have their mobile devices, their smartphones, their Apple phones, their iPads, their iPod touches, those things, where they're backing up to a cloud storage spot. Okay, now, Apple wants you to do that because, you know, we're all pack rats. And if we fill up the 5 gigabytes of storage space, they're more than willing to sell us more space. The thing I want you to know is that you can also back up your mobile devices to your Mac. And you can do that either when it's tethered with a USB cable or on your Wi-Fi network. I myself prefer to have my devices backed up to my Mac because I know where the data is, I know that it's secure, and it's a lot easier to restore locally much faster than it is to restore through the internet. Okay, so anyway, what does iCloud back up? It backs up your purchased music, movies, TV shows, apps, and books. Now that part is actually done by the various store elements. So the App Store keeps a record of what you got, the iTunes Store keeps another record, etc. Photos and videos in the camera roll, okay, device settings, app data, home screen, and app organization. And a lot of people don't think that that's a big deal, but it really is. If you're one of these folks that we put the apps just on the certain screen in a certain order, that's a big deal that it keeps that. And messages such as iMessage, SMS, and MMS, and ringtones. Okay. Then they have a little thing about privacy, security, and storage. I think they threw this in because of the selfie security break that some Hollywood stars had. That really wasn't a systemic problem with Apple's security. It's having really dumb passwords and letting people know passwords when you shouldn't. So anyway, the top part of this slide is basically saying that Apple cares about your privacy and your security, and they, all that good stuff. And then the other part, storage. You get 5 gig of backup storage for free. Your photos, and that is separate from that. Your purchases from the stores are separate from that. And for 99 cents a month, they'll sell you 20 gig of storage, and for $3.99 a month, they'll sell you 200 gigs of storage. And for $9.99 a month, they'll sell you 500 gigabytes of storage, and for $19.99 a month, a terabyte of storage. So, and typically when people tell me that they have that much stuff on their devices and they're storing it in the cloud, I have a conversation with them, an intervention. because chances are they're storing stuff they really don't need to have out there. Okay. All right, now, one of the things that was mentioned previously is iCloud.com. All right, so I can be accessing iCloud directly from my Mac through my programs, or from my iPad mini, or actually not my iPad 2, whatever, my iPhone, my iPod, all of those iDevices. Or I can use a web browser on any machine that's got internet access and go to that website and log in. So this is me logging in to iCloud. I'm putting in my Apple ID and I'm putting in my password. And then I'm hitting return. And then this is what I see when I do that. So if I click on that first icon, the blue one with the envelope, then I'm looking at my email. Now remember, they've got a copy of all my email up there for that iCloud account. Not my Yahoo stuff, not my Google Gmail stuff, just the Apple email, okay? It's got a copy of my contacts because it has to. If I'm updating my contacts on my phone, it has to put a copy of that somewhere so that later on in the day when I turn on my Mac, it can bring it in. Calendar. iCloud Drive, which would be for documents that I've created. Okay, you don't have to turn on iCloud Drive. Find my iPhone, notes, reminders, and then we get into the beta stuff, which would be pages, numbers, and Keynote. Sorry, I use Microsoft apps for this stuff all the time, and it's like burned in my brain. Okay, well, if I click on the pages, I've now got a word processor, and it's going to save my stuff that I create in my storage on the website, in my little lockbox up there. So I can be sitting at some hotel computer, you know, in maybe Cork, Ireland, maybe Dublin, someplace. I'm in a library, I'm using their web browser, I'm logged into iCloud, and I'm creating a document without having any of those programs on the computer. Okay, so this is called software as a service. And they're considered to be beta right now, okay? But they work pretty well. So later on, when I'm back home and I fire up Pages on my Mac, it's iCloud active, so it's going to have access to those documents that I was creating when I was logged into some PC in a hotel lobby. But the PC in the hotel lobby doesn't have a copy of any of that stuff. Because it never was on that PC. Except for the keylogger. Except for the, well, yeah. Okay, so reading the boilerplate that's here for iCloud.com, you can log into iCloud.com to see your mail, contacts, calendars. Not just see it, you can send emails from this. Okay, you can change your contacts. You can update somebody's phone number. You can change a calendar appointment. You can add another note. Your reminders, find my iPhone and I work for iCloud betas. And those who have PCs can install the iCloud control panel to use iCloud with Microsoft Outlook or share photos using their PC. So they don't quite have full functionality, but they've got a lot of the functionality. And then last but not least, a little slide just about how you go about setting this stuff up. Well, I didn't really want to go through a complete walkthrough of setting it up because it gets complicated. But I want to read their boilerplate text, and then I want to just add some of the things that I've learned about setting up iCloud accounts. Okay, you get the most benefit from iCloud when you set it up on all your devices, including your Mac or PC. Just sign in with your Apple ID and enable the iCloud features you want to use. The rest is automatic. You get a unique iCloud email account, and you can access your emails using iCloud.com or through any of your iOS devices. Setting up iCloud is easy. Okay. The one proviso I would add to that is, before I start to do anything on someone's device, before I go into settings on their iPad, before I go into settings on their Mac, before I go into settings in their phone, I use a web browser to connect to iCloud and make sure that their Apple ID has been used to connect to iCloud, the website, at least once before I set it up on the device.
Could you say that again?
Okay. Let's say you've got a brand new device. You've never really used iCloud before, because you just had the one thing. Now you got two things and you want them to talk to each other. All right. Before you go in and you tell the smartphone, hey, my Apple ID is this and my password is this. Before you do that, fire up a web browser. Go to www.icloud.com. So you're going to be looking at this screen. And you're going to type in what your Apple ID is. And you're going to put in your Apple ID password. And you're going to see if it lets you log in. Okay? Now the reason why this is important is sometimes someone's Apple ID has only been used to buy stuff on the iTunes store, or only been used to download free apps from the App Store. It's never been used for any of this other stuff. And by logging in, you're creating that storage space that these things are going to talk to. Okay? Because Apple doesn't set this stuff automatically unless you actually use it. Okay? So, I had an Apple iTunes account for, as long as there's been an iTunes. But it had never been used for iCloud.com.
Right.
I had a heck of a time getting things to work. They just weren't, I was getting frustrated. It's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to just work automatically, and it wasn't working. And I thought, okay, let's go to what we call the register data. You've got all these different sets of data on the different devices. Which one is the one that they all look at as the benchmark? Your account. Logged into that. And it went, oh, you've never logged in before. Oh, yeah. And then it set up that storage space somewhere on one of their servers for those other services. Then all of a sudden, the stuff from the iPad was working correctly, the stuff from the iPad mini was working correctly, the stuff from the iPod Touch was working correctly.
Oh, okay.
Because they had something to talk to. They didn't have it.
Thank you, because I'm one of those.
Yeah, so that's when you've got some things are working right, some things aren't. And the thing that fooled me was I thought my address books were updating correctly, my contacts, that's what they call it now. But it turned out my contacts on my iPod Touch were updating through iTunes when I was on my local area network. It wasn't doing it through the cloud. It was doing it because they could see each other on my local area network. Well, I want you to think of like 3 arcs. You've got a small arc. That's when you've got 2 devices and they're cabled together and they can talk to each other. You got your iPhone and your charging cables plugged into the side of the Mac. So that's that first small arc. That's called tethered sharing. They can see each other over the wire, and that's how they share the data. The next step up is they're on the same Wi-Fi network. And through the iTunes app, it sees them and it'll exchange data. The next one up is iCloud. iCloud, now you've got that server that Apple has in one of their data centers. That's the piece I was missing. I had never logged into the iCloud account to have it say, oh, hey, he's going to do iCloud stuff. Then I turned off sharing when I'm tethered, turned off sharing when I'm Wi-Fi, and I'm just sharing my data via iCloud. Because if I don't do that, then I end up with duplicate and triplicate addresses. duplicate, triplicate people in the contacts, and, you know, the same appointment showing up 2 times on the calendar. Because it's shared in 2 different ways, so it duplicates it. And you don't want that, if you're me, because I get confused easily.
But
Okay, so with that said,
with that, a question, Bill.
I'm going to put the thank you screen up, but I'm actually going to go into question mode.
When you're saying what you did there, is that you have to do that for each of your machines, various devices, or just one device?
Okay.
Or if there's one that's not working, you have to deal with that?
Real world, most people have typically 2 devices. I'm not normal. I mean, there's all of these things that are there.
We have 4.
So what I ended up doing, my troubleshooting process was, I get iCloud working between 2 things. Okay. Then I pick up the other device and I tell it, forget what you were doing, and I set it up fresh on that. So now I've got 3 things talking via the iCloud. And then I add the next one, now I got 4 things, now I got 5 things.
So you go to the other big device and
Right.
iCloud.com
Yeah,
and log
and
on.
typically what I'll do is, the other mistake I was making was, I was going into the Mail app and setting stuff up. You want to go into the, on your mobile device, an iOS device, you want to go into settings and go to iCloud and have the iCloud thing set everything up, which would be your mail, your notes, your reminders, etc., turning things on or off, and how you want them. Not try and set them up individually. You know, so it was like, oh, okay.
So there's
Now I
a-
understand. Yes, let me go to Kathy first.
I'm on this, the iPad with the iCloud, and it says where you can put mail on, contacts on, blah, blah, blah. If you have, let's say you've got them all of a sudden you don't want to have your mail contacts on them. If you turn that off, what would that do?
Then what it's going to do is you're going to get the message that on the device, it'll say, oh, you don't want to be doing this anymore. Do you want me to delete that information from your device? In other words, the stuff that's being shared via iCloud.
Delete on the iPad or delete from the iCloud?
Delete from the iPad. iCloud keeps the stuff.
You
It's,
can't get it off of it?
it's the registry.
What if you don't want it on the iCloud anymore? That's my.
You don't want it on iCloud?
Yeah.
The way I do it is, first I shut it off on all the devices. I say, don't do iCloud email.
Okay.
And then I go and I log in with a web browser into the iCloud website, and I click on the mail app and I delete all the mail that's there. And now there's no mail there. And there's no mail coming in and there's no mail going out. Yes?
How can you copy onto a CD or DVD directly from the iCloud, your photos? Or you have to put them on
You've got to bring it onto the local device first. Yeah. You can have photo sharing turned on, where, you know, let's say my sister goes on a wonderful trip to Arizona. While I'm stuck in Ohio. Okay? And she takes all these pictures. What she used to do is email them, you know, 2 or 3 pictures on each email, and she'd send me 20 emails. Now what she does is she just tells iPhoto to take these and to share them via iCloud to me. And she'll put it where I can bring them in. And so when I turn on iPhoto on my machine, it brings them in to iPhoto. And now I can burn them onto whatever I want. You do realize that because we use optical drives, they laugh at us. You know, it's like, you know, people using buggy whips. Okay. Yeah.
My photo camera, I have a camera roll and a photo stream, and the photo stream is limited to 1,000 photos, and I think that's in iCloud.
Photo stream could be coming from multiple devices. So if you take a picture, you've got a, let's say you've got an iPhone, and you've got an iPad, and you got a Mac, okay? And you take a picture with your iPhone. It goes into photo stream. So now it's available on your iPad and on your Mac. Okay. Then you take a picture on your iPad of something. Well, it goes into photo stream, now it's on all 3 devices. Or you take a screenshot on your Mac and you put it into iPhoto, oh, now it's on all 3 devices.
But my question is,
Yeah.
I have limit of 1,000 photos, and I have more than that, so where do they go? Does iCloud just toss them away? I don't want to lose my photos because I don't have enough space, so I keep them all on my computer instead.
Yeah. Typically what I'll do is, rather than use PhotoStream to do this stuff, I'll actually connect the device to my Mac and import them into iPhoto.
I do that, that is what I do. I don't want to lose my things, and I don't need to share, I mean, I can email 1 or 2 pictures.
The idea behind PhotoStream is, okay, I'm upstairs and I'm working on the computer and I take a picture of the serial number because I need to put it in on the other machine, and then when I get downstairs I go, oh crap, I left my phone upstairs. Oh, I'll bring up the iPad. Yeah, it's just a picture of the serial number. So it's meant for more ephemeral type photographs. It's not meant for archiving stuff.
I just don't worry about the photo stream in my iPad, just let it be, and just the camera roll is what matters.
Correct.
And then I import everything by tethering it. I don't got to import it by tether my iPad to my computer to import it.
Yeah, it's old school, but hey, it works. And
Well,
so that's the way I.
I'm not sure if it went to the cloud, how to get it back down to iPhoto, so I just tether.
Yeah.
That lady at the photo store said 1,000 images or 6 months, and they fall away.
I thought it was 90 gigs.
So even if they're just one, it goes away in 6 months.
Yeah.
But if I tether it, I don't have to worry about losing it.
Correct. So, PhotoStream, it's like the trash can on your Mac. You don't store documents in the trash can unless you want them to go away. So you don't store stuff in the PhotoStream that you want to keep forever and ever.
But I don't ever put things there, it just is there.
Yeah.
PhotoStream is just there, I just never, the camera roll is what's on my iPad.
And the camera roll is the stuff that's on the local device and stays on the local device. Yes, Rich?
Well then, okay, PhotoStream is a conduit for temporary storage. So,
Right, and it's reflecting what's on the iCloud server.
right, in fact, so many or 6 months. But do you not put in effect like equivalent to syncing as long as they talk to each other and they would show up on the Mac?
You can
as
take
if-
something that's in PhotoStream. I'm in iPhoto on my Mac.
Yeah.
I'm looking at PhotoStream and I drag something from that into an event.
Okay, there's not an automatic sync into iPhoto as if you were tethering
No,
through photos.
no, they assume that you're gonna, you can set it up so it'll do certain things. But it's early days. They haven't quite figured out how people really want to use it. And let me go, I hit somebody back there with the, okay, great.
I was adding, on my computer, your Mac, I was adding some addresses, contacts, and I realized I got 2 complete duplicate iCloud address books in there. You know, on the left-hand
It
column.
can be
How
more
did I double
complicated
that
than that, Ray. When I open up my contacts on my Mac, because I have a Facebook account, and because I have a LinkedIn account, and because I have a Gmail account, and I've got address book turned on for those, when I open up my contacts on my Mac, I'm seeing my addresses that are from iCloud, and I'm seeing all of the contact information for the people who are my friends on Facebook, and I'm seeing all of the people that are in my Gmail address book, and heaven help me, Yahoo Mail too. Okay. There is a little thing you can do in contacts where you can click in my standard addresses, and there's Don Baldiff in Facebook, and there's Don Baldiff in LinkedIn. I can click on the 3, holding on my Apple key, and click on the 3, and there's a command that says link those 3 together, and it'll treat it like one address.
So I won't actually, I have one like where I've stored stuff on the Mac. And then I learned I could store it off-site.
Okay.
So then I have iCloud, and then I have iCloud again. They seem to be identical.
Okay. What you've done is you've duplicated
Right.
data, which in some ways it's a good thing, but in other ways, no. Because let's say you go to update, you know, I moved suddenly,
Okay.
and you update my address. Okay, did you upgrade it in the addresses that are local on your Mac, or did you update it in the stuff that gets updated via iCloud? Yeah, you know, you want to do it in the iCloud, so when you bring up, you want to call me on your phone, you got the new number. Okay, otherwise you got to be on your Mac to see the new data.
Okay, this always seems to coordinate with my iDevices. And it's only on my computer that I seem to see two iCloud storages, because it's looking here on the iPad.
Yeah. So on your devices, you're seeing the iCloud stuff, but because the device is not your Mac, you don't see the stuff that's on the local Mac.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the local Mac and the other look the same? I mean, there's no distinction between what's on my local.
There is. There's got to be differences. The stuff that's on the Mac, if you don't update it, when you update your iCloud stuff, you'll start to see discrepancies. Unless, of course, you got it set where it's doing tethered and iCloud syncing, in which case we need to have that conversation because
We might need
you're
to
being
have
redundant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing happen in that I had my local address book information, local contacts. I had two iCloud listings showing up in contacts. When I went to preferences, or what we call settings now, and went to iCloud there, it showed two iCloud accounts, but under the same name, the same ID. I said, these are two identical, they got duplicated somehow. I just turned one off or deleted it, I don't remember what.
Typically what you'll do,
So I only
what
had
you
one
do
left.
is you get both to disappear, and then you put one back in. In other words, you're unsetting the device and then resetting it so that it properly syncs. Sometimes we have to do that when we go from Mavericks to Yosemite.
That's when it happened.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's when it happened. But I only deleted one of them. I didn't turn them both off and then turn one back on. Everything seems to be working okay right now, so I'm not going to upset the vote anymore.
The thing to remember is if you're talking about your iCloud contacts, they're still up there in that server. So you can say, hey, disconnect this device, throw away the stuff, now reconnect it so it brings it in fresh, and you've got it where it's one.
I never did anything with my devices. It was only on the main computer, my iMac. So I think up there in the cloud, it's smart enough to know there's one Apple ID and there's only one set of data that goes with that, even though it's showing up twice on the local computer.
You're describing precisely what
I mean, every time you do this, you keep your fingers crossed.
And again, this is why I really didn't want to go through a thing about handoff and iCloud Drive and that, because guess what? They're learning that in terms of management, organization chart type stuff, Apple has to get somebody who's the guy or gal in charge of this stuff and get everybody in the room together so that when you go to this, you see this. When you go to there, I see the same thing. So there's learning curves that need to be done. Okay, last question, and then we're going to officially adjourn.
Curious, I went to iCloud on my iPad. There's a choice for backup, and I have that turned off because I wanted the photos and stuff to back up to my
Because you're
computer.
doing backup to computers, so you have it turned off. That's the
And
appropriate
that's
choice.
appropriate. That's
Correct.
what I wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Okay. Did I do better this month? Let's turn off the projector. Thank you for coming. Thank you.